Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Facebook. This is your boy, Big Sin. And we are back with another OvaTyme Sports Show. I am your my co-host, co-founder, and best friend, Mr. Hollywood J. Black. How you doing this morning, family?
Yo, hype, bro. Hyped. I stayed hype after yesterday's action in the NFL. I couldn't even believe it myself, half the stuff that happened. Although I was 3 out of 4, you were 3 out of 4 for the weekend, just in 2 different games. That's some insanity. But we got to talk about it. Insanity this weekend, sir.
Right? Absolute insanity. Yesterday was probably the best day of football I've watched in a while. Saturday was par for the course for both games. The first game was a little boring and slow. The second game was just pure domination.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, again, that we called it about yesterday, and we'll get to that. Saturday was, we called what was going to happen in that game too. I think the Tennessee Titans scored more than we wanted them to, based off of our prediction. But
we both said 10, but it was 14.
Yeah, exactly. You were right on the money with 35 points, though. I wanted 38, but I was being nice, I guess. But let's talk about it. Let's get into the action.
Let's get into the Atlanta-Philadelphia game.
Yes.
That was the first game we had. Now I'm going to do this little overlay thing on YouTube again, so I'm going to freeze up over there for half a second.
All right.
But Facebook will be just fine. So here we go. So right there we have the final score. We have the Atlanta Falcons 10, the Philadelphia Eagles 15. This was the one game I called wrong over the weekend.
I didn't call it. Yeah, that was the one game you called wrong. Which is crazy because I remember we talked about this and you said you're disagreeing with me, and I said, yeah, I said that Philadelphia defense. I said we had a conversation about defense winning championships, and I thought that Philadelphia's defense was better than Atlanta's offense, and given the fact that they already played this year, kind of helped things out a little bit. So that was my opinion. Nick Foles did everything that he possibly needed to, per se, even though he had a bad game. He made it so he didn't turn over the ball that much. Kept it out of the hands of the Atlanta Falcons defense, which is always a problem for any team recently. And he handled his business. I mean, that's all you can really say. The brother handled his business.
All right, so let's break down the stats for the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan was 22 of 36, 210 yards and a touchdown. He was sacked 3 times. The running game never really got going. 86 yards total combined between Coleman and Freeman on 20 attempts. And Julio Jones had a big day, but again, did not reach the end zone.
Well, and that's been a testament to the entire Atlanta Falcons season, that a lot of it ends up on luck, and a lot of it ends up on Matt Ryan's shoulders. At the end of the day, Matt Ryan was efficient, but it just wasn't enough. You got to score touchdowns. You have an all-pro wide receiver who's supposed to come up in big-time games. And remember, this time last year, we were talking about the Philadelphia Eagles having the worst secondary in the NFL last year. They changed their coaching style. They changed how, they added a couple players on defense. And, the Philadelphia Eagles shut down. Let's see. Let me rephrase that. They shut down to the point where they didn't allow them to score. They bent but didn't break. And that's what mattered. I mean, Matt Ryan had a touchdown, but his touchdown was to Devonta Freeman. He didn't get it to Taylor Gabriel. He only got to Taylor Gabriel twice. He only got to Sanu 3 times. He got it to Hooper once. He got it to Toilolo once. And that was it. I mean, he forced it to Julio Jones, I wish he was targeted 16 times and caught it 9. That tells you everything that you need to know about this game. They really try to feed Julio Jones, and it ended up being to their detriment. The Eagles locked down Julio Jones, and that is why the Eagles won that game. Now, Nick Foles had a stat line of 23 for 30 for 246. It was only sacked once. Jager had 15 carries for 54 yards. Nelson Aguilar had a run for 21 yards.
But then you got the closer, LeGarrette Blount, scoring the only touchdown for the Eagles.
Which is what they needed. I mean,
now I will say this: Nick Foles, he may not be the guy you want leading your team, but let's be real about something here. The man is showed to be probably the most efficient passer in NFL history when he starts.
Yeah, I mean, he only had one job, and to make sure that the Falcons did not get the ball. That was his only job.
Now now we talk about Atlanta choking, but they did pull the ultimate choke job here. Julio Jones fell down on 4th down in the end zone.
Yeah. Which goes back to what I said before. It tells you everything about the Atlanta Falcons season, and that's why the Falcons were where they were when they got in the playoffs, and that's why the Eagles are where they are in the playoffs. Even without Carson Wentz, this is still a very, very dangerous team. Defensively, they're solid. Everybody wanted to know if they were going to stop the high-powered offense of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. But let's just be honest. The offense has not been high-powered since Kyle Shanahan left. It has not been balls to the wall. It has not been that speed demon of an offense since Kyle Shanahan left. You know where that offense is at? It's in San Francisco with Jimmy G. And they got 2 no-name receivers. Well, I know his name, Marquise Goodwin. You know what I'm saying? But they got basically, I can bet you the average fan does not know who's on the San Francisco 49ers offense. The average football fan, I mean.
I'll be honest with you. The only one I know is Carlos Hyde and Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm a football fan.
Yeah, and I'm just saying. But you see what they've been doing to teams the last 5 weeks with the right quarterback, which is what they were doing in Atlanta last year, right? So the testament is to when you have a good offensive coordinator versus when you don't. And that whole playbook changes. It's a rough go. And that's exactly what happened with Matt Ryan. And when they needed Matt Ryan the most, and they needed Julio Jones the most, they couldn't do a damn thing about it.
My tablet decided to update why we're doing this.
Well, I'll break down a couple more things for you real quick while that thing is updated. Matt Ryan was sacked 3 times yesterday. He was touched 3 times for 15-yard loss. His quarterback rating, his QBR was 22.5. His rating was 86.6. Defense really didn't do much. They didn't really tackle well. They had 5 tackles for a loss. They hit the QB 4 times, which was interesting considering how tight that O-line was. But the Eagles hit Matt Ryan 11 times. Very vicious. Like I said, 3 sacks, 8 tackles for a loss. Eagles dominated that game thoroughly. There's really nothing more that you got to say. Yes, they scored a touchdown, but the defensive side of that ball belonged to Philadelphia. Good job.
So yeah, you're exactly right. See, these talks right now are going to be short for the Saturday games. The Sunday games is where the big talk will come.
Yeah,
pretty much. So now let's move on to the AFC side from Saturday's game. And here, let me pop this up really quick. So we had the Tennessee Titans traveling to Foxborough. And as we see, the New England Patriots did what everybody thought they were going to do, handled business, and stomped out the Tennessee Titans 35-14.
Which I have 3 words for you. Are you surprised?
Not into the least.
We called this one. Big Sin said 35-10. I said 38-10. I said he wasn't giving the Patriots enough credit. Wasn't giving Steven Gostkowski his credit where it's due. But they didn't even need him yesterday, which was, pretty awesome in itself. Let's break down some Titans stats to see why they lost this game. I believe Big Sin, if his tablet's working, I believe him to tell us why the Patriots won. I want to talk about why the Titans lost.
I've had the Titans for a few.
So, all right. So, the Marcus Mariota went 22 for 37, 254 yards. Not bad QB stats. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked 8 times for negative 52 yards. His QBR was actually really efficient at 58.6. His quarterback rating was 98.3. Here's where the problem came in. Tennessee only ran it 4 times. Mariota was their leading rusher, carrying it 4 times for 37 yards. Derrick Henry carried it 12 times for 28 yards. And you can kind of see where the problem would have been after that. Marcus Mariota's longest run was 11 yards. Derrick Henry's longest run was 4. That was that was your top running back's longest run. Your only running back's longest run was 4. Like the Horseman. 4. Let's see what here. Eric Decker had 6 catches. Some dude named Davis had 5 catches and 2 touchdowns yesterday. He was the only person that had the touchdowns.
Yeah, sir. That was their rookie high round draft pick that they picked.
Yeah. Well, Tennessee has a defense. When you have this many tackles, it's usually not a good thing. You know why? Because the more tackles you have, which means the more plays that they ran on you. So there was 76 tackles total in a game. 57 of them were solo tackles. Only 3 tackles for a loss. Only 3. And we see in the last 2 games had 11 and 15. 3 tackles for a loss. They only hit Tom Brady 4 times. They only disrupted 4 passes. They couldn't get shit going on kick returns. Couldn't get shit going on punt returns. The kicking game sucked. The punter had a great game, 7 punts for 316 yards.
He got his stats.
Yeah, he got his. Pro Bowl punting, baby. That's what's up. And he got 2 punts in the 20. It's pretty sad when we're talking about punting. That tells you how bad a team must have done when we're talking about punting stats, ladies and gentlemen. That's the So now, is your tablet up, sir?
No, it decided to do 158 updates. So
all right, so I'll take the Patriots run real quick. And
I have it right here.
Oh, okay. Well, fine. You go ahead, sir.
That's what the PlayStation 4 is for when my tablet is being an asshole.
Because I see the first thing I'm looking at is the biggest glaring stat of why the Patriots won. But go ahead. You run it down, sir.
Okay, so towards the end of this regular season, everybody was talking about, Tom Brady is taking a step back. Tom Brady's going to turn the ball over. Tom Brady's showing his age. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in this divisional round, Tom Brady went 35 of 53 with 337 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, Deion Lewis has been the man. Deion Lewis is probably the MVP of this team for this season. He rushed the ball 15 times for 62 yards. We had a Brandon Bolden sighting with 4 rushes, 27 yards, and a touchdown. James White got his first rushing touchdown since September.
Yep.
Now, the receiving stats. So the reason they call him Danny Playoff Amendola, 11 catches, 112 yards. Most of those on 3rd down.
Yeah.
Then you had The Gronkzilla with 6 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown.
Gronk spike, bitches.
Then here's that man again. You got Dion Lewis, 9 catches for 79 yards.
Yep.
Now, this man is going to need to step up here against Jacksonville. He had a couple of drop shots today. Mr. Brandon Cooks had 3 catches for 32 yards. James White had 4 catches for 29 and a touchdown. Chris Hogan, his first game back from the full injury, 1 catch for 4 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
But this defense. Let's talk about this Patriots defense for a second. Remember at the beginning of the season, they were the biggest detriment in the world to the New England Patriots?
Well, yes, but we know how Bill Belichick rolls, and he fixes things fairly quickly.
Now, I want to read off some of these names who got sacks, and I want you to tell me if you know who the fuck they are. We have Martin Flowers, not Trey. We have Trey Flowers.
Not Martin.
The Flower brothers had a sack apiece.
Okay.
Some guy named Grissom had 2 sacks.
Yeah.
DeAndre Wise had 2.
Yeah.
Adam Butler had 1.
Yeah.
Ricky Jean Francois from Washington Redskins fame.
My man Ricky Jean used to play for the 49ers. He played in the Super Bowl, bro. Ricky Jean Francois.
Right? Then he went to the Redskins and just didn't do anything.
Hey, that's because Jim Snyder will pay you a boatload of money for doing half the job you actually have to do. If you don't believe me, ask Albert Haynesworth. Anyways.
And he had a sack. James Harrison had 3 tackles. So, yes, it was a very efficient game for the New England Patriots.
It was a very New England type of game. That's real talk. It was a very New England Patriots type of game. So, I mean, shout out to New England. It doesn't get much better than this. You know, even Brian Hoyer had a rushing carry.
Oh, that was because he kneeled the ball, dude.
No, he had 3 carries. Oh, because he had to kneel it 3 times. Huh?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, then,
I know you want to try and make Brian Hoyer, him coming to the New England Patriots mean something. It meant nothing.
It's Tom Brady's best friend, okay? It means everything.
Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to what we called Sunday Fun Day yesterday. And we will start with the highest scoring game of the playoffs. I can't believe I'm saying that. And so here you have it. We have the Jacksonville, let me rephrase that, the Saxonville Jaguars defeating, me and Mr. Black both called this one. We just didn't see the score being this high. Defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers 45-42.
I watched this game at work yesterday. Shout out to my boss for handing me the remote and walking out without saying a word. He said, "You know what to do." And I believed in him. I believed like he handed me the lightsaber. That's how I felt when he handed me the remote to the TV. And I got to see the Jaguars play the Steelers and watch my prediction come true. However,
we did not expect it to happen like this.
Not at all. I mean, let's just start. I want to start with 2 things. Did you see the complete game yesterday?
I watched it from start to finish.
So you saw how the Pittsburgh Steelers made Blake Bortles look like a Pro Bowl quarterback. You seen it. I seen it. Like when he was running the ball, I saw flashes of Steve Young. And that's weird for me to say, you know, as a Niners fan. The Steelers made Blake Bortles look 10 times better than they had any business doing. Blake Bortles went 14 of 26, 214 yards, which doesn't mean nothing in the big circle of things because it wasn't those 14 passes in themselves meant everything. His quarterback rating was 94.1. His QBR was 90.
Well, okay. He probably could have had a lot more yards because he made some nice plays yesterday, some nice throws that were dropped by the receivers.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the other part. He wasn't touched at all. Blake Bortles was not touched. He was not sacked. The Jaguars controlled that game. The Jaguars offense controlled that game, and with a few flashes from the defense. Let me rephrase that. The biggest detriment to the Jaguars, which is their offense, controlled the entire game.
Well, Leonard Fournette went for 25 carries, 109 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Let me put something into perspective here. Leonard Fournette has 5 more touchdowns in Heinz Field this year than Le'Veon Bell.
And if that doesn't stir the pot, here we go. TJ Yeldon had 5 carries for 20 yards, had a touchdown. We had Blake Bortles. He had 5 rushes for 35 yards. I want you to understand that 3 of those rushes went for first downs.
Yes, he was very Steve Youngish yesterday. No.
I mean, his receivers failed him for the most part. I mean, he spread the ball around. He spread the ball around to 9 different receivers. The crazy part about it is only 4 of them were actually receivers.
Yeah, you had a lot of tight end and running back play in there.
TJ Yeldon, Leonard Fournette, Tommy Bohannon, O'Shaughnessy, Koyak, and as I said, five running backs and tight ends, 4 receivers.
But how about your boy Smith though, dog? Motherfucker, 14 tackles, 2 assists.
Yeah, Telvin Smith. Telvin Smith, that's the dude that they got back, and he recovered a fumble.
50 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And pointed and laughed at Le'Veon Bell the whole way.
Yeah.
Let's go to the other side of the team real quick, and let's show off the Pittsburgh Steelers stats. What the Pittsburgh Steelers did yesterday was give the Patriots the game plan on how to beat the Jaguars.
Pretty much. I mean, and it makes you wonder, it was mistakes that would cost them this game. If you would have told me that Ben Roethlisberger went 37 for 58 for 469 yards with 5 touchdowns and 1 interception, sacked twice, had a QBR of 53 and a quarterback rating of 110.5, and still lost the game. If you would say that, I wouldn't believe you. I'd call you a liar, a phony, a big fat phony. I'd probably have you committed, put into a hospital, and make sure that your family didn't hear from you again for at least a minimum of 3 years. However,
not only that, you also have Antonio Brown with 7 catches, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Vance McDonald with 10 catches, 112 yards.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell for 9 for 88 and a touch.
Yep.
But Davis Bryant, 2 catches with 78 and a touch, one of which was on 4th down. So was one of Antonio Brown's on 4th down.
Yeah.
And you also had Juju Smith-Schuster, who was very ineffective but did have a touchdown.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you had told me that these stats were indicative to a losing team, I'd call you a liar.
You're a liar. You stand.
But that's exactly what happened. These stats were indicative to a losing team. Ben Roethlisberger, outside of the interception and outside of him probably getting killed for the majority of the day, and he did get killed. You know this. I know this. You know how many times they hit the quarterback? They hit the quarterback 7 times. The Jaguars hit Ben Roethlisberger 7 times. I don't have a stat for hurries, but I know that's high. They disrupted 8 passes. And the defense scored a touchdown. Telvin Smith scored that touchdown. I mean, Miles Jack had that 1 pick. Like it all came down to turnovers and Blake Bortles being put in the position to win the game, and that's exactly what happened.
You want to know what else it came down to?
What
Number one, even though the score was close, the Steelers never had a chance in this game.
No.
There was no point in this game that Pittsburgh actually had a lead or even close until the very end of the game.
Yeah. Jacksonville kind of let their foot off their neck a little bit, but they knew that they had to come back from a 10-point deficit with a minute to go, and if they make them work for it, that was going to be it.
So now let's talk about this final minute of this game. Mike Tomlin has got to be the most ignorant, stupid, fucking cocky, arrogant jackass of a head coach we have in the NFL. Now, I am saying this because not only do I not like the dude and I don't like his coaching style, but I am saying this because he is fucking stupid. When you have 40 seconds left, you're on the 30. Kick the fucking field goal, and he's giving your team a chance to recover an onside kick. So you are not sitting here, oh yeah, we scored another touchdown. What the fucking do? You left 4 seconds on the clock.
Yeah. They had a minute 44, and you're down. So let me rephrase this. So when they were down by 6, when they were down by 7, with 2 minutes to go, in the game, when you had the choice of whether you should hit the field goal, or score the touchdown, they chose to go for the touchdown. But then that put the ball back in Jacksonville's hands. They didn't try the onside kick. It only took them. Let me rephrase that. They did the onside kick.
They did it on. Okay, no, I'm talking about the final drive. I'm talking about that the onside kick they tried was so poorly executed that it looked like the dude just dribbled the ball 2 feet down the fucking field.
Yeah, and then Jacksonville scored a field goal that was on up 45-35.
No, I'm talking about the final drive. Pittsburgh moving the ball with ease, got down there with 30 to 40 seconds left on the clock, and instead of Mike Tomlin sending in the field goal unit, kick the field goal, get the lead down to 7, attempt one more onside kick, you know what I'm saying, then going for the touchdown. No, he decided to let the team go all the way down the field, waste all the time, use all their timeouts to drive before, and they scored a touchdown with 4 seconds left. That is not going to win you a goddamn thing.
It sounds like he went to the Andy Reid School of Time Management, is what it sounds like to me. You know what I'm talking about, sir. You know what's up.
Now, why nobody is talking about this mismanagement of time by Mike Tomlin, I don't have any fucking idea. But you said there's another controversy in this game? What was it?
Okay, so did we not? There was a point in the game. Two things. So Marquise Pouncey actually physically shoved a referee. It was not ejected, fined, or anything out of game. He shoved a referee. I thought when you put your hands on a referee, that was pretty much it. You're out of here.
Well, hell, even in the WWE where it's all scripted, even their wrestlers get fined for touching referee.
Yeah, and then there was a Jalen Ramsey was being blocked by Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh, you talking about when Juju Smith punched him?
Well, no. What Juju Smith-Schuster pushed Jalen Ramsey into Le'Veon Bell while Le'Veon Bell was out of bounds, and they called the penalty on Jalen Ramsey for unnecessary roughness.
Now, people want to talk about the refs that help the Patriots out. No.
Yeah, I think the refs were trying to make it a little bit interesting. That one, I think they couldn't believe themselves they were going to lose their parlays. They're like, "Fuck, we picked the over."
Oh no, they got the over. The over was fine. Fuck, the Jaguars almost covered the over on their own.
Yeah, I know, but shit.
Oh, actually, they did. Hold on. The over-under was 40.
Yeah. Well, they would have. You know, it's funny because the last game was 30-9. They're like, oh, they can score one more point.
Right?
So
now we have now we have next week in the AFC Championship game, the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Pittsburgh. Traveling to New England. What Pittsburgh did have success with, which I know Bill Belichick is going to use a lot, is the quick deke and dunk stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what the Patriots are built for. But we do need Brandon Cooks to do his best Antonio Brown impression and get downfield and actually catch the fucking ball.
Well, this game is really going to come down to one thing. And like I said, the one thing that you know is because, again, I don't have a stat for pass hurries. However, Ben Roethlisberger was under pressure every single moment of that game. There wasn't a time, even on running plays, Ben Roethlisberger was under pressure the entire game.
Oh, yes, he was.
With that said, the key, if the Patriots want to look at winning this game, they got to figure out how to stop the Jacksonville Jaguars' pass rush. Their 4-man rush is probably one of the best 4-man rushes in the NFL right now.
But look at the fucking monsters they have on that defensive line. They are fucking violent. They are vicious. They are fast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's almost as bad as the Haynesworth when Albert Haynesworth was on the Titans with him.
He had Javon Curse.
The white dude, I can't remember his name. The white dude with the mustache.
The Lions now.
Yeah, and then the other dude, I gotta look up that. Remember that they were all stars on that line. Jacksonville's the same way.
Wasn't it Van der Bosch?
Yeah, Kyle Van der Bosch. That was his name. And so that front four is vicious. They have to figure out a way to protect Tom Brady at all costs, because if they don't, it's gonna be a long day.
Yeah, the Patriots are going to have a lot of – their wide receivers are going to be ineffective. It's going to be a lot of running backs and Danny Amendola. That is how the Patriots are going to beat the Jaguars.
Well, who knows? I mean, Brandon Cooks is about as fast and has decent hands if he can get into the system like an Antonio Brown.
Yeah, and that's what I said. When Brady gives him those long ball chances, he needs to come up with the catch.
Yeah, and I said if they don't, it's going to be a long day, but we'll discuss that all week. I mean,
we have only 2 NFL games next week and a lot of stuff to talk about them.
Oh yeah.
So now let's get into probably the game of the weekend and probably one of the biggest controversies of the weekend. So I'm gonna fire it up on YouTube real quick. We have the Minnesota Vikings defeating the New Orleans Saints 29-24. Okay, my friends.
Bruh. Now, this game was so lit.
I gotta admit something. I kind of got goosebumps at the end of the game when Case Keenum was leading the entire stadium in the skull chant.
Yeah, right?
And I don't like Case Keenum. I made that point perfectly clear.
I really thought towards the end of this game, I picked the Saints on Friday. Although
your argument convinced me to take the Vikings.
It's funny. That's funny. And this, I had a thought. I said, you need to be afraid of Case Keenum because he's the devil that you don't know. This is what that was the reason.
But I also said you need to fear their weapons more, which was very true.
And so let's break this down for a second. So we had. I'm gonna just look. I'll pull up the stats real quick. Give me just a second here.
Let me pull. I'll do the Saints. I'll do the New Orleans Saints stats real quick while you're pulling.
All right.
So over in New Orleans, Drew Brees went 25 of 40 for 294, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, a QBR of 51.3 and a rating of 89. Drew Brees did not have a good game. The defense was all over him, and for the first half of the football, he could not move the ball for shit.
No. Matter of fact, all of Drew Brees' stats that were on the positive.
They're all second half stats.
Yep.
As far as the running game goes, Kamara and Ingram were non-factors in the running game.
Yep. Which that was the second week in a row because it didn't happen last week either.
Now in the receiving game, Michael Thomas showed up. 7 catches, 85 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Ted Ginn Jr. continues to just show up places. 8 catches, 72 yards. Alvin Kamara, this is where he got his paycheck. 4 catches with 62 yards and a touch. And Manti Te'o led the defense with 10 tackles. He did not bring his girlfriend with him. Well, he might have, Chris.
Or did he? Because we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, because he only had 6 solo tackles. So there were 4 assistants. So, yes, his girlfriend was there. No, Manti, I haven't forgotten.
None of us have forgotten. Anyways, so the Vikings, Skull Vikings, bro. Let's talk about this. Case Keenum, 25 for 40 for 318 yards. 1 touchdown, threw an interception. He was sacked 2 times for 10 yards. He had a QBR of 64.6, and his quarterback rating was 85.2. His QBR was actually on par for what he has during the season.
You don't expect anything more from Case Keenum.
No. Latavius Murray had 19 carries for 50 yards and a touchdown. Running game was sort of ineffective. Latavius Murray's longest run was 14 yards. Jerick McKinnon had a touchdown, 8 touches for 34 yards. He was more effective on the ground. He still had a long 14-yard run. Diggs, the boy Diggs, had 6 catches, 137 yards. The long one was, of course, 67. So that means even if you take that one out, he still had 5 catches for 70-some yards.
Okay, so now let's get into it right now. Okay. So here's where things get weird with this team. The lead changed 4 times in the last 3 minutes of the game.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, I want to talk about this final play because I don't know what the fuck to say about it. Okay. Diggs caught the ball. They would have been in field goal range.
Yep.
That's fine. But what's his name? Williams? Was he the defender on the play? Williams?
Yeah, Williams was the defender.
Okay. When Stephon Diggs went up in the air, for some reason, this professional, this New Orleans Saint, grabbed his helmet when Stephon Diggs went up in the air. He grabbed his helmet and dove under Stephon Diggs and took out his own teammate.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Jimmy Johnson alluded to it before the game actually was before they actually spoke to the dude, and the dude actually confirmed what Jimmy Johnson was thinking. So what ended up happening is that because of these new rules when it comes to pass interference and stuff like that, Williams felt that his timing was maybe a hair too early. So if he would have hit Spencer Diggs while he was in the air, before he caught it, before the ball got there, he would have been hit with pass interference. And then, of course, put them in field goal range for the Vikings to win the game.
That doesn't matter because Stephon Diggs was coming down with that catch. He had the ball in his hands when the dude dove.
Well, he was already, momentum for it was already carrying him. He couldn't stop. So it was a hair thing. If you look at the replay, the ball hit his hands as soon as Williams was like ducking. So I don't know why he physically ducked. I would have at least put the arms out, you know what I'm saying, to grab the legs. Because he had Diggs has those long legs.
Yes, but it would have been a bang play. Pass interference would not have been called because the ball was already that close. It was a bang play. If he would have, instead of diving under, if he would have jumped up with Diggs into his body, he probably would have knocked the ball off. There would have been no pass interference.
Well, that's what I don't think that he was thinking that because he was looking at the timing of the play and the timing of the play. Even when they slowed it down yesterday. Jimmy Johnson slowed this down on Fox Sports yesterday. We looked at this over and over again. If we're looking at what the quarterback sees and the speed that he's going, there's a slight chance. It was really 50-50 that Williams was going too fast to stop himself from hitting Diggs before the ball got there. And this is according to Williams. What I said, when they slowed this down and they slowed the replay, it would have been at the same time. But as a corner, you don't see that. As a corner, you can only see it in real time. You can't see it in slow time. So he's thinking to himself, shit, if I hit him, it's going to be pass interference and the Vikings are going to win. What he didn't think was, shit, if I don't hit him and he catches this ball, the Vikings are going to win. He didn't think the other side of that equation out. And you can only think so fast in so much time. And, I mean, I feel bad for the kid because he's a rookie. And the best part about this rookie is that this rookie was the only reason that the Saints were able to climb back into this game to begin with, because he was the one that got the interception that got them back into this game.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, I am running out of time here. We have to continue this conversation tonight. So, what else do you got, Mr. Black?
Well, as I always say, sir, around this time, I want to thank everybody that comes and join us every morning with their morning cup of coffee for Simple Black Entertainment. If you like what you see and you think that we're pretty cool guys and pretty awesome and we're pretty dapper and swaggy and everything else, what you need to go ahead and do is hit that subscribe button. That's a Boynton.
Boynton? The fuck is a Boynton?
Boynton is a beach somewhere in Florida. Anyways, you need to hit the
subscribe. So that's Boise, motherfucker.
No, that's Idaho. Anyways. So you need to hit the subscribe button. You point it to the left, point it down, subscribe. Subscribe button hits red. And when it's red, you know you're seeing the best that Simple Black Entertainment has to offer, including the OvaTyme Sports Show, the best show on YouTube when it comes to real talk and real sports. And Mr. Sin, just to let them know what they can do on YouTube to make sure that they get all of our videos every time, 24/7, 365.
Now, what's funny is we only planned these shows to go for a half hour. We only talked about NFL today, and we've been going for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you see my little demons right there to the left. You see them over there on the right. If you're watching this after the fact, highlight them. If the button is big and red, go ahead and click it. Take the heat off their ass because the show is already lit. They don't need no more fire. With that, and also click that bell icon when you know we live. And I'll admit to something. Yesterday I fucked up. I didn't post any videos yesterday. But you know what? It's okay because we've been doing 2 or 3 a day for the last 2 weeks. So anyway, with that being said, I am Big Sin. That over there is Hollywood J. Blizzak.
And make sure you hit the button, not the Boynton. The button, not the Boynton. And ladies and gentlemen.
If you want to go to Boynton, take a left at Albuquerque, okay?
That's right. And make sure you invite me because I want to go to the beach. Anyways, so again, that's Big Sin. I'm Hollywood J. Black.
And it's all about the Boytons, baby.
All about the Boytons.
We are out this bitch.
Holla at you. Peace.